So you're saying about that you're doing a lot with Claude and MD files, or just MD files without Claude?
Everything. I'm feeling like this. It's like my head is exploding, imploding.
Nice.
So much stuff. Yeah, I basically I got rid of a lot of files in Google Drive and keeping loads of stuff in MD files and just playing with it, figuring out what works. Yeah.
And are you storing it locally or directly in the...
I'm storing it locally and saving it to GitHub.
Okay.
So that's the approach, but it's still in the very beginning. I'm just experimenting with how this works, but I totally see why this is the way forward for now. And I can definitely show you, I can share my screen and show you what I mean by this.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just want to share just part of my screen because my whole screen, because I have two things open. Okay, give me a second. I'll do it this way. That's gonna work. So this is how I started. I'm just gonna clean it here. This is how I started. Okay. That I started collecting all the information about the company in a structure like this. This is Cursor, okay, which is a coding tool, but I started using it for keeping information about my projects, context about what I'm doing. This is a space where I want to keep agents information, which is empty right now, so I can't show you much about it. And tools is also empty. I haven't built this one, but these are going to be scripts that I write that will be doing basically automations. They'll be running locally. Also, you can see that here is my Claude MD, which is still, I have it marked as old because I'm rebuilding this one yet. But here is more or less the structure. This is the instructions for Claude. So when I started with this, and then what I would do is that I have a terminal here, and this is my Claude code. Okay. So I would have, this is my Claude code, and I would simply access any of these files. So I'll, for example, have one-on-one coaching file or folder with somebody, and I can just give it instructions straight here and just like extract some context about it, or I can even edit the files and so on and so on. I can call different commands. So this is one part of it, but the issue for me was that if I go to context, for example, let's say that this is the context of my first file, like what are the LLMs and limitations, right? So this is showing me the content of the file, but if I want to edit it, like I can't edit it. This is just a view. And if I want to edit it, I can double click it and then go to this kind of code like overview. But I don't really want to be writing code like this when I'm editing it myself. It's fine that, of course, I can just take this file, I can place it here and say, Claude, add a new section that will be explaining what is it context. Okay. And now I will have this here. Okay, fine. I can even dictate this. It's just easier way to do it. But I want to edit something manually. And I was researching what are the plugins for Cursor to actually do the edits, like what you see is what you get editor. There are some editors, but they are really bad. So I started discovering alternative options, and I arrived to setup that looks like this. This on the left side is called Obsidian. It is a tool it's notes taking tool. It's operating on top of the same structure. So these are the same files that you've seen there before. Okay, but this is an editor that I can even define which tools I can have here. Like here in the bar at the bottom. And when I want to add a new headline, I just can do it here, and I can edit it with shortcuts. So like I can be creating, and I don't have to write the code specifically. It's more what you see is what you get. So this is the advantage of having editor like this. Also, what you can do is that I have a sandbox file here. Here in this sandbox file, I was testing different things, and you can even paste, like, for example, Figma files here. So you can have views of nice diagrams, or you can use mermaid diagrams that are basically a code, but this code can be written by AI, so it can start creating diagrams here for you, and you visually see them, but you can still edit the code. So this is something I see more beneficial than just editing the code in Cursor. So that's why I went for this. But at the same time, I want to have the ability to have AI running on top of this context, right? I want AI to be able to work with all these files. So that's why I have here Terminal, where this is literally Terminal that is as a separate app, and I have it open, in this split view on Mac. And so this is literally Claude sitting on top of this folder, the same as it is in Cursor, but the advantage is that I have here my manual edit.
The visual side of the code.
Yes,
I guess.
yes, exactly. And I can still
Obsidian,
and I can still give commands. I tested some other tools, but Obsidian seems to be working the best to my use case. Like, of course, you can have any other text editor sitting on top of this, right? You can probably even have a Finder there if that's what you want. And so this is Claude Code, but well, it's very useful. It's very useful to use it this way. But I'm thinking that like this is very techie, geeky thing, right? So what I'm thinking about actually that might be useful for people is that I'm gonna close the terminal, which is fine, and I have just this Obsidian here, but I also can simply open my Claude, which is the Claude app. And I can just add it here, right? So this is, for example, Claude Cowork, and I set it up here that it should be sitting on top of the same folder. So now what's actually happening is that I have my Claude Code here with all its connectors and all the stuff that I need, and I can still work with these files. So I, for example, didn't try this, but I think it's gonna work. So I just dropped this file here, and it will be probably tell me what is the content of this. What is the content of this file? What is the content of this file? Let's see if it's able to find it this way. It doesn't have the access, even though it's sitting on top of the folder, because I copied that from Obsidian. So what I would have to do is probably, there might be something like copy path to, okay, from system root probably.
You think you gave it
What about
access
this file?
to the folder, so I'm not sure why.
Yeah, but the reference link that I used here, it's linked that it cannot read because it's saying something Obsidian open world, which is something it doesn't understand. But I think if I put this one, it will understand. Oh, it's trying to call skill.
I would even like ask more normally, like go to projects and tell me about Flare. Do you have access to that folder or something like this, rather than
Claude would like to co-work in a folder.
Yeah, and now choose that one.
But that was the one that I chose before.
But I don't think it had connected in that way.
There was something wrong simply. But anyway, it is possible to connect it. We see that we reached it out. It's just probably the way to share the files from here to here is a little bit different. But yeah.
I think that's co-work exists, like I saw my other colleague or one other guy like working in Code app where he had exactly what you have your structure in there. He was looking at the code rather than the output, how the MD file looks, but that's preference. So at the same time, like that's why I think the co-work interface exists, because this is how you can work with those files. This is how if I have an MD file, I just go to co-work and load it in there, or you're working from the folder where you have this, like you mounted that folder now, so you can work with it.
Yeah, that's the idea, and you can also use probably the Claude Code for this if you want. You can also select the folder here, but that's for a little bit different capabilities. But yeah, this is what I was setting up for myself, and the idea is that basically I moved all the information that I got about the company. I moved it to the MD files away from Google Drive, and in Google Drive I'm just keeping a couple of presentations and things that simply can't be anywhere else.
Why wouldn't you keep the MD files on Google Drive?
That was a solution I had before. And the problem is that Google Drive has some of its own settings that are colliding with Git, for example. So you cannot then commit things to GitHub from Google Drive. So that's one thing. The other thing is that the files that you have in Google Drive, they like the MD files, it's not good to work with them in the Google Drive. So that's also not working really well. And also the files that are in Google Drive, which are the Google format drive, Google format files, you can read them in the terminal or through the Claude, but you need to write a special app for that so it can read it through API. So it's not completely available in your file system. And what you have in your file system is just a reference, and this reference is used to download the file from somewhere else. So basically it's erasing the benefit of having the files in your computer, because every time you want to read some file that is a Google document, you need to call the script, download it, and then kind of you need to wait too long for it. But the advantage of having MD files is that it's extremely fast.
Yeah, okay. Because the MD files, I would think that you can have like an offline folder that automatically every time downloads or is mirrored to Google Drive, so it's on your disk. It's kind of backup to Google Drive, but you can work with it. But yeah, I would just the only benefit I would see on having it on Google Drive is like have a cloud backup.
Yeah, exactly. Well, then you have this through GitHub. So
Yeah.
that's
Okay,
the
fair enough.
difference. Yeah. Well, but
Fair enough.
yeah, if you want to use the Google Drive and you see some benefits in it, feel free to try it. I'm happy to hear how that goes. From my experience, it wasn't great.
Okay, cool. Great progress. Great, interesting.
Yeah.